Welcome to Turtle WoW News with Vrograg. I'm your news anchor orc, Vrograg Fishlayer, here to bring you all the server news for the week of September 5th, 2023. I am broadcasting from Booty Bay to follow up on a lead from the Booty Bay cartel being involved with the radio. Nothing concrete yet. Today, we will update on the war against RMT, note on a hardcore milestone, check in with Market Watch, and enjoy a feature piece about a plucky pickup raid group. So let's get to it. I'm the Orc, and here's the news. Our top story today broke yesterday as part of the changelog. The top bulletin point was a change in enforcement on using English only in public channels. The channels affected should be General, Trade, World, and Yell, and previous to this change, other languages were allowed in General and Yell. I went to Acalix, the community manager, to see if the management had any comment on this change in policy. Evidently, the measure will be to disable non-Latin languages, which may cause some difficulties for Chinese and Russian-speaking players who might have used these channels before and use alternate keyboards. As of the writing of this script, Cyrillic does seem to be an exception to this rule, though currently how to roll it out is still being worked on. This means that this change is squarely pointed at Chinese players breaking rules by using Hanzi characters, and is a reaction to the quote, rampant rule breaking on this server rule. To allow the support team to focus on other matters, this has been implemented. There does seem to be some merit to this rule needing to be enforced, and with any luck, it will help public areas and chats look a bit more like a server with English as its actual official language. We'll continue to follow this story and everything else that develops with the struggles of having such a large Chinese player base on the server. I just received some late-breaking news that I'd like to share with you in related matters. Minutes ago, I received confirmation that there will indeed be not one, but two new realms released to service the ever-expanding Chinese player base. Rumors were brewing earlier today that Torta had let slip in-game that there was going to be two servers, and I rushed to get some kind of confirmation before the release of the news. Acalix was able to confirm some scant details involving this. All I know for now is that there will be staffing for both of these servers. They will both be hosted in two different geographic locations. Both will be fresh realms, and for now, I know that one of the server names will be Ravenshire. I wish I could offer more information on this, but Acalix tells me there will be more coming out later today after the production of this broadcast, so stay tuned and pay attention to the announcement channel of the Turtle WoW Discord. Our next top story this week, in a server first, a group of mortals from Chores has conquered the fiery halls of Molten Core. Back on June 16th, Inferno mode, or the ability to remain hardcore and be level 60, was unlocked on the server. Since then, Chores has been a leader in working on raid content with these mortal characters. I got a chance to query some of the leaders from Chores to learn more about their rise to prominence. The guild was started about a year and a half ago by Arresto as a sanctuary from the 2021 era Still Alive guild, with the tagline, "Don't fear your mortality." Since then, the guild has acted as a kind of de facto group for those that wish to push hardcore content as far as it can possibly go. I was able to obtain a video confirming the validity of the Molten Core run by Chores, a Twitch VOD made by Gunhilder. I will make sure to give a link to the VOD while it's still available, and a link to the Twitch channel. Make sure to follow them in thanks for providing our network with this resource. Though there were a few scary moments, all of the raiders who entered the fiery depths of Molten Core came out alive. The run seemed smooth, chock full of consumables, and did take a few extra trips back to Upper Blackrock Spire to get the fire resistance buff for added safety. So while the fancy titles are yet to be implemented in the game, as congratulations, I thought I'd make a little placard with all the raid members to immortalize them, even though they have done everything in their power to remain mortal. Congratulations! We look forward to your next accomplishments, Hard Chores. Our last top story is about the ongoing battle between server management and those dastardly gold sellers and other cheaters on the server. In a post on the announcement channel, Acalix posted the most recent data that the GM team has been able to generate in the last 90 days. The announcement certainly is impressive if true, boasting over 4,000 accounts receiving punishment for their crimes against the server. This report continues a tradition of the team posting their outwardly hostile attitude towards any form of cheating. And as we can see, the server population growth has only meant more work to be done for the team in this ongoing conflict. Remember, keeping our server safe from cheaters is everyone's responsibility. If you see something suspicious, say something. Only together can we protect this community from those that want to ruin it for profit. That does it for top stories. Now, let's move to Market Watch for auction house news. Welcome to Market Watch, Turtle WoW News' weekly glance at the top commodities on the merged auction house. Let's get to the stocks. Black Lotus. 2 weeks ago, things were volatile, but since then, the herb has slowly decreased in value, down 8% to 22 gold. This is a recent reduction following steady growth in July, and could be signs of the market calming. Grom's Blood continues to be a wild ride of price swings in the short term, peaking at 75 silver, then hours later falling to 30, but did slowly trend lower overall. It seems that Grom's Blood has finally found its market floor, below 60 silver after having been heavily inflated in July. Cured Rugged Hide. Watch out, the demand for hides is growing, and in the last 2 weeks, market trends show a 26% growth, with occasional price spikes. These prices have not been seen since the bubble of early June, and prove that the hide is a wild ride. Arcane Crystals. In a surprise twist, after the 24th, the price has remained surprisingly stable, hovering in the mid-30s. This is the most flat we've seen this commodity since June, and could be signs of demand finally being met by supply after months of growth. Mooncloth. Remained flat on the trend for the last 2 weeks, though did have some speculation on the 26th, shooting up to 25 gold. This cloth still has room to fall, but does show signs of stabilizing in the high teens, even if it is much cheaper than it was back in May and June. Large Brilliant Shards. Fell a few percent in the 2-week graph, but proved rather dynamic despite its flat trajectory. The value has seemed to stabilize in the last months, indicating that the sub-4 gold valuation might be here to stay. Stone Scale Eel. Fell about 10% on the trend line in the last 2 weeks, with only small pockets of volatility. Even though in the short term the fish fell, it remains mostly flat historically, signifying a surefire value for fishers of Azeroth. The SNV7. The market appears to look healthy with its normal ups and downs, ending this week at 1709, and just about even from when the SNV first started. This means there is gold to be made without so much worry about inflation, so get out there and make your fortune. That's all we have for now though on Market Watch. Thanks as always to superduperauctions.com for making this data available. Make sure to go there for all your auction house data needs. We'll continue to keep an eye on the auction house. You keep an eye on your coin. Let's go back to Vrograg over in Booty Bay. This past week was another 2 changelog week, though both of them were small in comparison to some of the changelogs the server has had in the past. So it's about that time to cover all the changes coming your way with the changelog roundup. Mirage Raceway received a bug fix on the 30th. According to the bug reporter Flash and Offer, stating that starting certain quests would not work correctly and keep them stuck to the ground, requiring a GM's help. Hopefully, following this fix, all the speed demons of Azeroth can get back to driving their vehicles of questionable safety. The changelog on the 30th also featured another attempt by the development team at tweaking their priority queue system for those logging on at peak hours. Furthermore, the log added a part about people trying to log in with more than one client active getting less priority. I asked for official word for the sake of clarity of what this would mean and learned that part of this change was to limit multi-boxing. Let's hope this change will help the lines for players during peak hours. More on this story as it develops. An unusual bug was found on the tracker, posted by Patricos, that for whatever reason kept hunters benefiting from the 5-piece bonus from the Giant Stalker and the Dragon Stalker tier sets from unflagging from PvP. Though as of late there has been a push to try and keep griefing to a minimum for hardcore players, even softcore players don't like being accidentally flagged either, it seems. There were, of course, some other smaller changes made, and I encourage anyone curious to check out the 2 changelogs on your own time. I'll be sure to leave a link to the forum page where changelogs are listed. For now, that's it for the changelog roundup. Now, let's get to our feature piece about pug raiding. With a name like Turtle WoW, it's no wonder that accomplishing anything on the server takes time and effort. Not everyone who plays has all the tools necessary to participate in the competitive and, some would say, insular world of raiding that Turtle WoW has to offer. For those that maybe don't know how to start, or maybe don't have a great command of conversational English, getting to level 60 could just be the end of the game. Enter Natare, an organization that has existed on the server for well over a year and has served many people who might not have all the tools at their disposal. I knew of them for being a place for pugs or pickup groups for raids to form. I heard that just recently, Natare finished progressing Naxxramas with their first Kel'Thuzad kill, which, for essentially a pug raid group, is quite the undertaking. So, I met with one of their esteemed leaders, Shockwarden, on the outskirts of Booty Bay to talk about Natare. Alright, so what's up with the name Natare? Am I saying that right? What's that all about?
Natare is a Latin word, and it means to swim. So that kind of goes along with our tagline of where turtles learn to swim.
Interesting. So how long has Natare been around teaching little turtles how to swim?
We've been around on Turtle for over a year now, hosting pug raids every week.
So, Shockwarden, what is your role with Natare?
Yes, so I am one of the main raid leaders. We have multiple raid leaders in Natare.
So, I understand it's not a guild. Can you tell me a little bit more about what Natare is and who can join?
Natare exists as an entity that creates raids and invites everyone on the server to join them. We welcome anyone as long as they have a nice attitude and they come prepared to raid with us.
So is Natare just for pug raiders?
Natare is simply focused on raiding 20 and 40 man raids. Now, that doesn't mean that there couldn't be in the future, but for now, there's not. The beauty of that system and the way we've sort of built up Natare is allowing people to join the guilds that they want to join, that host the kinds of activities that they're looking for.
This seems like more than a pug group. What is Natare really all about?
One of the core philosophies of Natare is fun and relaxed raids. Whenever you join any guild, there's always going to be a guild culture. Natare is no different in that we try to keep a consistent culture. So that culture we like to have is fun and relaxed raids.
Raiding can be stressful, so if Natare is all about having fun and being relaxed, what exactly does that mean for the group?
In a fun and relaxed atmosphere, you're not necessarily always focused on progressing at all costs. So removing the fun out of it, potentially removing casual players or more casual players out of it. We want to make sure that the people who want to attend our raids and regularly show up have the opportunity to succeed. And with that comes a learning curve. So it may take a few times for people to get up to speed on things. It may even take churning through many players in order to find people who want to be consistent with us. But when you're hosting a pug as opposed to a guild, while on one side you may not be guaranteed a raid spot every week, at the same time, as a raid leader, I may not be guaranteed someone to show up every week. And that's something that we try to turn into a strength, is that people aren't necessarily bound by attendance requirements in our raids. You show up when you can, and we're more than welcome to have you.
I see. So your contention is that this more casual approach to raiding actually has benefits?
One of the advantages that I think Natare has is that we put ourselves out there as open to everyone. You can have a guild tag, you can have no guild tag. You can be in a guild that's competing with another guild. You can be in a very small RP-focused guild. You can be in a large super guild. All of those people are welcome in Natare raids. We put ourselves out there and sell ourselves as that.
Out of all the places to have a group like this, why Turtle WoW?
I think that the population of the server here on Turtle makes it so that Natare fills a niche that may not be existing in other places, but definitely exists here on Turtle. It is an international community, some would say a global community, where raids are going on 24/7. Anybody from that international community knows that they can sign up and show up to that raid.
I agree, Turtle WoW is a great international community, but surely that can cause issues, especially with language barriers. Are there raids hosted in other languages?
I don't want to say that any raids are officially hosted in other languages, but because of our international community, we have many people available to translate. To give some examples, there's some people in Natare that are from South America, so they can speak fluent Spanish and Portuguese. And maybe there are people in the raid who cannot speak English in regular conversation. Those people are available to translate. There are other people around the world that have been through Natare raids that were still able to complete the raid and hopefully having a good time, even though they didn't necessarily speak the language that it was hosted in.
Well, let's talk about some of the downsides of hosting pugs. I'm sure I'm not the only person who has joined a pug raid and encountered disruptive or uncooperative raiders. How does Natare deal with that?
If there are any sorts of bad actors or extremely unprepared people, as unfortunate as that might be, we have no problems allowing the raid leader to make the final call to say, this person shouldn't be here, or maybe they're not having fun with the environment, and we'll just kindly ask them to leave. We try to do so in a respectful way, because you never know who else is, or you never know who is on the other side of the screen and what they might be going through at the time.
That is a very kind perspective to have. So, next to troublesome raiders, there is the matter of making sure raiders have the gear necessary to survive raids. How is that handled?
Absolutely. In order for any raid team to function, there needs to be requirements. And those requirements get progressively more stringent. In order to join a Natare raid that might be a Zul'Gurub or a Molten Core, we just ask that you farm your dungeon blues. They don't have to all be perfect blues, as long as you've put in time and effort to get your character ready for those first entry-level raids. After that, if you're looking to get into more difficult raids and more challenging raids, the gear requirement for those naturally goes up. So we've created a simple gear check system where one of the raid leaders will review your gear that you submit to us. And as long as you meet the gear check requirements, as we call them, for the next level of raid, it will allow you to sign up for those raids.
Seems like Natare has most of the tough stuff sorted. So what else is required for someone to raid with Natare?
We ask for everyone who's raiding to be in Discord, even if you're not able to understand the English language or understand it fluently in a conversational perspective. There are people who are in our Discord who are bilingual or multilingual and who are absolutely willing to translate any key information that's necessary. If you're a new player who may not understand a mechanic or entirely what a boss is about, then we have people available to translate into a language that you can understand conversationally. And that'll make it so that you have the information that you need, as basic as it might be, in order to succeed and contribute to Natare's success in killing that boss.
Of course, congratulations are in order to you and Natare on taking down Kel'Thuzad. With such a laid-back attitude, progression towards the Lord of the Dread Citadel must have taken some time.
I'd like to confidently say that it took Natare well over a year to conquer the final boss, Kel'Thuzad.
Wow, that's a lot of dedication. I'm happy to see it. So now Naxxramas is conquered. What's next for this plucky organization?
I'm so glad you asked that question, because Natare did down KT, and many of our raiders have expressed interest in continuing raiding Naxxramas and all the other raids. We're very much looking forward to new content that's coming out. You can be sure that we'll be venturing into those raids as soon as they're available to us. When it comes to Naxxramas, we want to build up a team that can consistently clear Nax, but in doing so, we don't want to burn our people out, because raiding the most challenging raid and most expensive can get to be taxing. So we're looking to build up our team of players that are interested in Nax and have a long-term view of raiding Nax. And in doing so, it'll allow people to do what we've done with every other raid here on Turtle. Show up to the raids you can make, and if you can't make them, it's okay, and we'll still get the job done.
Wow, the future does look bright for Natare. Now, I'm sure you as one of the raid leaders would never have gotten this far without Natare. Is there anyone you'd like to thank for such an accomplishment?
This interview would be going much longer if I had to name every name of people who I had to thank. So I will try and summarize as best I can. Anyone who's led a Natare raid or been part of co-leading a raid, I want to thank you for helping keep the server going and keeping the spirit and the culture of Natare going from week to week, even if I'm not the one leading the raid. Also, anyone who has been part of our core team and been the ones that have been laser focused on clearing the harder raids of Turtle WoW. But even if you're not a leader, even if you're not part of a group of people who show up to our raids, I still want to thank you. I want to thank you for playing on Turtle, for making this community as great as it can be, and for also considering Natare for any of your raiding desires. For the hundreds of people, maybe even 1,000, that have been through Natare raids, thank you.
You're a credit to Natare, and honestly to the server, Shockwarden. Thank you for taking time to speak with me.
Yes, thanks very much for having me.
So there you have it, Natare, a friendly group of pug raiders enabling those who are willing to see the endgame of Turtle WoW. Once more, I'd like to thank Shockwarden for taking time to speak with me, as a voice as deep as the Tauren he plays, and you viewers for indulging me with time to learn about one of the pillars of what makes Turtle WoW so great. Now let's get back to me in the present to wrap up the broadcast. That concludes the programming for the September 5th broadcast. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to reach me, all my contacts are available in the description below. I do live Q&A sessions during my weekly laid-back fishing chats. I try to host them every Saturday at noon East Coast US time. Make sure to drop by. I hope to see you there. I need to go meet up with my pirate radio contacts soon, so I better get going. I wish you all safe travels wherever you go, and look forward to giving you the news once more. Be safe, and as always, remember, the deadliest weapon is knowledge.